Good morning. Excuse the absence from detects because of lack of permissions, but this one here is quite exceptional. 1066 is the date concerned, the most important date in English history, effectively, mainly because it was the 14th of October and Harold, the King of England, the Anglo-Saxon king, was defeated on the 14th of October 1066 by William the Conqueror, a Norman invader who'd come to Pevensey 2 weeks earlier and ravaged the whole area around here. So I was thinking, because of the popularity of the sites around what's called Battle Abbey, which is basically where Harold was slain on the 14th of October, I'd look at Woodland detects, and the main reason for that is because generally it's much easier to thoroughly detect an area of pasture if you think about it, and also I needed to look at gradients so that the soil erosion might bring something up which ordinarily would be too deep, given that it's I think over 950 years ago. So the thought is that the remains of the battle are actually at the battle site, which is not too far from here, or the Battle Abbey site, but that perhaps a large area of excavation would need to be conducted in order to open up the areas or depths that objects might be found from such a long time ago. The main points of the sighting points, I investigated the sighting points around Battle. So Battle is in East Sussex. It's named after the battle because it's such a significant date in English history. And the sighting points that I managed to find personally include Coldbeck Hill, which is the traditional point where it's thought that Harold mustered his set camp, if you like, coming down from London. And then you've got to the south of the Abbey, Telham Hill, where it's thought possibly William takes in views to the north. William possibly set camp coming up from Hastings. And then you've got three other points that command good views. The first is Netherfield Hill. From Netherfield Hill you can see as far as the sea at a place called Bulverhythe, which is possibly where William sailed round to with his fleet when he basically came northwards to this point of interception. Then you have another place, Catsfield Place, which, although low down and to the southwest of the Abbey, you can see most of the ridge from there. Now the ridge is important because it's depicted in the Bayeux tapestry, and the 4 or 5 primary sources, those are sources of information which are within 15 years of the actual battle. So the sources that were produced within 15 years of the battle, you have the Bayeux tapestry as the primary source, mainly because Odo, who was actually present at the battle, later a half-brother of William the Conqueror, was the person who commissioned the Bayeux tapestry. Although it was produced in Kent, it was then taken to Bayeux in Normandy. So that's the most accurate testimony. Then you have 4 others. You have the Anglo-Saxon Chronicles, which were also written around the same time by priests and in England. And then you have at least 3 other Norman testimonies, which comprise William of Jumièges, William of Poitiers, and Guy d'Amiens, Bishop of Amiens. None of those were present at the battle, but they had a close relationship with either William or his wife, and would have based their information from testimonies provided by people who had been present and within years, as I say, of the event taking place. So here we are. I haven't done a woodland detect for a long time, so I never have high expectations as a detectorist. I basically expect woods to produce things like shotgun cartridges and possibly World War II bullets, but you never know. It's a big area, so I don't know how much I'm going to complete today, but I'll look forward to seeing it the first hole. Right, this is my starting point. I've resolved it's 11:30. We have here a deep gill, and this one starts at a spring at the top of the ridge, and the ridge being something which is shown in the bio tapestry. So the battle was fought near to a ridge somewhere. The steepness of the hill opposite, obviously good to detect because of soil erosion, and more likely to get things which are older if they're falling out of the bank. But obviously at the moment I'm just starting, and I have no clues as to what I might find. It's due to rain this afternoon, so I'm also hoping, because the Vanquish isn't waterproof, that that's not going to cause too many problems. That's really shallow, that target, so it's going to be something modern. We'll have a quick look though. It's a 10. It's in fact in the leaves, so what are we going to have? That's silver paper. There we go, someone's pie wrapper. Right, here at the stream, don't know if you can get a sense of the gradients here in this wood, but this one here, which you won't hear, is 16 at 50% on the depth stakes, so probably a shotty. The things that I'm picking out of the leaves on the surface, I'm probably not going to film. I'm going to be digging quite a lot of rubbish today, I'd imagine. But you never know. Yep, the shotty. Don't know if you can see that. There we are. So on to the next. You see how rough the terrain is around here. That's quite a nice signal. This could be a bullet case or a coin, I would say. 22 at 60% on the depth stakes. I have no idea why people can say that no evidence has been found of the battle as yet, because it's such an extensive area to search. Obviously I'm some way from the actual expected battle site, or the one that English Heritage believe is the correct location next to the Abbey, but it's a rather unusual statement to say that nothing's been found. Things may have been found, but they may not have known what they were in the past. Right, this one's under a root. Time Team in 2014, I think it was, dug a huge trench across the Battle Abbey grounds 300 yards long by 4 yards wide, and they didn't find anything, but someone has related how actually that's about 1% of the total ground contained within the abbey. Now I'm not within those grounds here, but I'm in an area that retreating soldiers could have possibly passed through. Right, it's still down there, whatever this is. It's 21. I'm thinking it might be a 2p or something. 2p or not 2p. It's going up. Unfortunately the tone is going up, which is not a good sign. Yeah, it's going up to 33, so it may be something large, an iron or tin lid or Coke can. I still like digging in the woods, even though you get a lot of roots like this. Get an idea of what the soil's like here. It's boggy in places and sandy in others. Right. Ah, there it is. It's a coin. Is it a 5p or is it a silver coin? Let's have a look. I don't know why the tone went up so high. I don't know if that's a silver coin or not. It's pretty corroded. Yeah, I should know what that is. I think it's more likely to be a 5p than a silver coin, especially because of the copper content there. But I might be wrong. We'll have a closer look later on. So it's either a 5p or an old half p from the 60s. I'm not entirely sure. Obviously fill the hole back in. Alright, we want something a bit older than that, I think. Even though it's the 8th of December, it's actually really humid. So just take in some water, because it must be at least 12 degrees. Unusually mild for this time of year. Right, this is a 12 or 13, which is typically shotty territory. We'll see, having dug through these roots, what it turns out to be. Hopefully. Must have come out. No, it's still down the hole. It's behind that root. deeper. Oh. Something small. Something small that I can't see. That's the percussion from a shotgun cartridge end, unfortunately, the centre of a shotty end. Alright, crossing the gill or brook, whichever you want to call it. Actually, I'll use the tree, I think. Going down a hole, my left boot gone down that hole there. Bloody hell. Right, we're over. I'm going to go up the hill, look for some soil erosion. These foxholes look interesting. Just give those a scan, because obviously animal burrowing does bring things up in the woods, which on pasture is less likely to be a factor. So, got a lot of animal burrowings in this area here to investigate. Right by those animal burrows, but almost on the surface. Got a nice button, half a button anyway, the conical bit, a livery button I would say. It's got a crest on it, which unfortunately, due to the acidity of the soil, is worse for wears, but probably Victorian, or at least, probably Victorian, but we'll clean it up later, and hopefully if I soak it in Coke or something, you might be able to, Coca-Cola I mean, you might be able to get something off it. Right, there we are, there's the what looks like a Victorian livery button. As I say, I might be able to get more detail when I've cleaned it. (16 to 18). Not finding many deep ones amongst the animal burrows. Let's see what this is. 50%. Reckoning a shotgun cartridge. Well, it's something round anyway. Is it going to be a shotty though? That's a button. So, area of buttons here. Plain Georgian, I would say, or Victorian, early 1800s. Or late 1800s. Right, button. Right, overlooking a very steep bank down to the stream there. I've got a really nice signal. Sounds like a coin, but it may not be. 22, it's 50% on the debt stakes. So, I've had a lot of shotties which I haven't filmed, in the interim, so jumped ahead until I found a good signal. Right, it's a bit deeper, possibly. May have to come back to you on this one. Get the pinpointer. Bloody great route there. See, going to be quite difficult to. Right, unfortunately I was way off with my pinpointing. It was over on this side of the hole and I've just pulled it out. It's going to be in this spoil here. It is a coin anyway. Don't tell me it's 1p. Right, don't know which coin this is. It's an old threepence. 50s, 1950s or 60s. I think that's, yeah. Pretty sure that's, it's pretty corroded too, unfortunately. Right, reckoning on an old threepence, 3p. 1950s, 30s to 50s, that sort of era. I think that's what it is. We'll see later when it's cleaner. Right, I'm digging an iron signal here, which I wouldn't ordinarily do, but because it was quite readily pinpointable, I thought it would be worth a go. I'm on it already, so it's going to be something iron. There we are. Horseshoe. That's got a bit of age to it. I think that's probably. It's quite nice actually. It's broader, so it could be 16 or 1700s. That one. It doesn't give the impression of being Victorian. So I need to keep that, but I don't know whether I want to carry it with me. I might put it in a recognisable spot. On second thoughts, I'm going to take it with me. It could have some age to it, that one. Right, this was a 7 or 8. Not far from that horseshoe. Evidently something quite small. Right, it's in here. It's in this clod. Shotty. About the 20th of those that I found today. Don't know what this is, some burnt wire iron object. I don't think that's going to be old, but I'll just film it because I'm not going to bring it with me. Right, someone's key, 2122 on the scale, 3/4 of the way down the wood. I'll have to show that to the landlady. You never know, she might have a lock for it. Right, down the southern end of the wood, or the lower part of the wood, and as you can see the soil is pretty grey, so the coloration goes from sandy yellow at the top to this grey, and I think I've got a coin. Looks like a decimal. I think that was 22 on the scale. Not far from the Yale key. You can see what the acidity of the soil, what it does to the coins. Pretty aggressive, unfortunately. So whether we'll get anything off that or not, I don't know. Yeah, it looks like a wartime halfpenny to me. The coins need to be silver really to. It's got a little nick in the side of it. So it may have been a pendant. Might be Georgian on the other hand, might be 1700s or Victorian. So hard to see. Right, there's the coin. As you can see, it was obviously suspended at some point, but it's badly corroded. I can't see a monarch at all. I don't think that's the nature of the acid soils here. I'd say that's 17 or 1800s, a guess. If I was hazarding a guess anyway. Right, little pistol ball. Always a good find. 30, quite a high number. I think I can see what it is. Yeah, there's a horse brass down there. So, always a nice find. Will it have anything on it is the question. We won't really know that until I clean it up, unfortunately. Sometimes they have metallic letters. Oh, it does have something on it. Well, that'll be doubly interesting. The landowner should be interested in that because we'll be able to see their initials, hopefully. That's what we've got. So this is from about 1800, I would say, that sort of date. And we'll have someone's initials, which I can't see at the moment. Alright, there's that rather nice horse brass. Still can't quite see the letters. Is it JW or JC? We should be able to work that out when it's cleaned up a bit more. Oh, this one's interesting. Got a 9 or a 10 there, non-ferrous. Or maybe that's what it was. Maybe it's just a shotty then. I thought there was iron down the hold as well. Alright, it's in this clod. Bet you it's a shotty. No, it's not. It's a I don't know what. It's a hollow cylindrical thing. I know not what. Like the cap to something, but I don't think it's terribly old. It doesn't have the feeling it's very thin. Give it a dig anyway. I don't know if you can see how black and mulchy it is in these conifers here, but it means that the depth, effective depth of your detector is diminished. Right, it's in here, whatever it is, and it was 16. Shotty, another shotty. I've got to cross this bog to get up onto the other bank, so you can see the difficulty of the terrain and how hard this would have been during the course of a battle if the battle overspilled into this area. So if I was looking for the Malfosse, that cleft in the landscape, basically a natural scar in the landscape that was a complete bog where the Normans, upon chasing Harold's men northwards into the woods, came unstuck. This would certainly be a good candidate. I've just climbed up that incline there, and it's very, very slippery. Incidentally, regarding this, keyhole horseshoes like this were usually used for draft horses. Now, draft horses were used for pulling things, so it's likely that they were pulling timber out of the wood when this shoe came off the horse. As I say, it's not fullered, so it doesn't have the typical Victorian or earlier grooves that I can see anyway, that the nails are recessed into in the later examples, and the number of nails I can't really assess. If it was half a dozen, it might even be 1600s, but I'd say it's between 1600 and 1800, that horseshoe, which makes that particular corner of the wood slightly more attractive for a possible return visit, but we'll have to check back with the landlady or landowner to see whether that's a possibility. Interesting tree. It's getting dark now, unfortunately, but at some point I think that's been struck by lightning. Right, it's dark now almost, but quite an unusual iron object. I think I'll take that with me. Just seems odd. I can't work out what it is. Right, that's it, unfortunately. It's now 4:10 and it's dark, and I've got to work out where my bag is in this wood, so I've got to navigate my way back through to another part of the wood. Right, a quick roundup. 32 finds in total, 16 of which were shotgun cartridge ends and a couple of percussion caps, those things there from the centres. 2 coins. This was a 3p dated 1942, I can just about make that out. The old threepences, and a half p possibly from the 60s, because it has, I remember these in my life, and it's Elizabeth on the back of it, Queen Elizabeth, so probably 60s. 2 buttons, both of which seem to be Victorian. This one may even be more modern because of the way it's kind of split in two like that. We have a key with JMA written on it. This thing here, don't know, can't get anything off it, but obviously it's a pendant of some sort, possibly for an animal. This horse brass, rather nice, 1800-ish in date, JCU or JCV, seem to be the initials on it. I'll show a better picture of that in a mo. And then the probably most interesting things, apart from these bits of aluminium, was this keyhole horseshoe. So it's keyhole because of the interior shape. They're called keyhole horseshoes, and they're made any time between probably 16 and 1800. Generally, one looks at the number of nails. The less nails, the older it is, usually. That's not unequivocal, but this one doesn't have fullering, which is the groove that was put in, and the later horseshoes have a groove all the way round that the nails were recessed into, so that could potentially be any time from 1500 to 1800. This here, I've found these before, I don't know what they are. They're very light, thin bits of a closed end tube, and this here, I don't know what that is, but seems to have great age to it, but it's so hard to tell with iron things. Could that be a piece of weaponry? It's a piece of iron anyway, and it seems to have fused with the surrounding earth that it was sitting within, and then a pistol ball. That was it, guys. So 32 finds in 5 hours, and I'll post some detailed pictures up for you now. Incidentally, regarding this, keyhole horseshoes like this were usually used for draft horses. Now, draft horses were used for pulling things, so it's likely that they were pulling timber out of the wood when this shoe came off the horse. As I say, it's not fullered, so it doesn't have the typical Victorian or earlier grooves that I can see anyway, that the nails are recessed into in the later examples, and the number of nails I can't really assess. If it was half a dozen, it might even be 1600s, but I'd say it's between 1600 and 1800, that horseshoe, which makes that particular corner of the wood slightly more attractive for a possible return visit, but we'll have to check back with the landlady or landowner to see whether that's a possibility.